Hey guys, it's Maggie. Welcome back to my channel. This week I kind of just wanted to do a haul with you guys because I have sort of accumulated quite a few fantasy romance books. I've kind of really dove in here. I have 13 books here that I've gotten within the last month and a half. Granted, some of them are gifts, so I can't, my wallet's not too angry. It's just a little angry. But yeah, I have a bunch of fantasy romance books here, and I wanted to kind of go over them with you guys. 3 are traditionally published, ones you might have definitely heard of, and then the rest are pretty much indie authors, so you guys may not have heard of these other ones. So that being said, let's just jump into it and kind of check out what I got. This first one is it's the only hardcover that I have out of the 13, and it is a traditionally published book, and that is Ledge by Stacey McEwan. Which you can tell, oh, this cover's good. This is beautiful. This really could just be art on a goddamn wall, which it probably will be in my room. But this is one of the ones that I'm really excited in the sense of it's a totally original idea from what I've read before. And the premise behind this book is essentially there's this civilization that's living on the ledge, or it is the ledge. There's this steep rock mountain face and then this huge chasm that they could essentially fall into. So you can imagine life must be hard for them. And on top of all that, every season a human must be sacrificed to these glacians. So we're gonna follow the girl who's actually going to be taken, and we're gonna follow, I guess, her adventure of trying to escape. It kind of sounds like The Wall from the Game of Thrones meets our fantasy romance world, which I'm totally here for that. Totally here for that. Plus on top of it, actually, I can't believe I almost forgot to say this, but on the back from Publishers Weekly, which I don't know how much you can trust these quotes. Obviously, they're always going to say good things, but the thing that really got me, readers looking for a bloody Kill Bill fairy tale will be more than satisfied. Yes, please. I'm really hoping that they literally mean bloody. I have been looking for a book that's gory, and it's bloody Kill Bill. Quentin Tarantino? Oh my god, I'm so excited. But moving on. The next one is another traditionally published book, and this is For the Wolf by Hannah Witten, which it says it's a dark fantasy debut. This is another beautiful cover, I'm not gonna lie, actually. It's really pretty. I'm kind of curious about the romance. I like the heat, I don't need it to be smutty, but I do like to have a good romance in it. I don't know how I feel about slow burn, but we'll see what's in this. But this is essentially a Little Red Riding Hood retelling, and from what I can tell from the synopsis, the second daughter is who we're following. Whenever you have a second daughter, I guess that is the one that has to be sacrificed to the wolf. And the wolf apparently is actually a man who lives in the Wilder Wood, and it sounds like he's captured her gods, her people's gods, and they've essentially turned into monsters as they've lived in the Wilder Wood. And I don't know if when she gets in there or if prior to being captured or sacrificed, she has magic, so she has to learn how to kind of wield her magic, and that's going to help get her gods released. But that's kind of the premise I'm getting behind this. So I am excited about it. I love a good fairy tale retelling, and I like classic fairy tale retellings. I'm not into the contemporary stuff, and this sounds like it's fantastical, so I'm very excited. All right, moving on. This is Rhapsodic or Rhapsodic. I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce it, but this is from Laura Thalassa. Make a deal if you dare. That sentence is really kind of what got me excited. So this one kind of seems a little difficult to try and pare down the synopsis even more, so this might be one you might want to just pause and read the synopsis of. But I'll try to do a quick little snippet. But it looks like we have a girl who's actually a siren, and she has these beads that she's been collecting, and they're essentially IOUs because she's asked for a lot of magical favors. And there's this particular, I'm assuming, fairy, or maybe he's a bargainer. I'm not sure if the fairies and the bargainer are the same, but he comes to collect. He wants her to pay up. And it starts off with just a chaste kiss, and then it sounds like it's gonna be getting a little bit more heated. There's this last sentence: only his foe has a taste for exotic creatures, and Callie just happens to be one. So it sounds like there might be a little bit of a love triangle going on here. I'm very curious about it. I don't know. I've heard good things, but I don't know. My gut is telling me it's 3 stars or above. But anyways, moving on. This is A King of Battle and Blood. This is by Scarlett St. Clair. Yeah, this is Adrian and Isolde's story. So this, I already read this one, and this was good. I'm gonna give it 3.5 stars. But essentially what's going on is Isolde is a princess of this kingdom, and Adrian is this vampire who's, you can say, the king of his, and he's essentially trying to conquer the rest of the kingdoms. And when he comes to Isolde's, he basically says, like, we have to get married or else. So they end up getting married. Her people despise him. She also despises him for what she believes he has done in the past. And she basically has this plan to essentially assassinate him. So she's going to marry him to get close, but then she's going to try to assassinate him. So it's kind of following that whole storyline. I'll just leave it there. I obviously know a lot more since I've read it now, but it is a good book. It is a good read. I gave it 3.5 stars for certain reasons, but I don't want to go over it in this video. But 3.5 stars still means that that's not a bad book to read. I just want to clarify that. This definitely has spice in it, and it has spice very, very early on in the book. I'll leave with you that. I'll leave with you, what? I will leave you with that. That's how you talk. Next one. Now I believe we're starting to get into all of the sort of indie publishers. So this first one I literally bought because I saw some reel on Instagram and I impulse buyed. But this is A Ruin of Roses. I heard it's supposed to be really good. I heard it's supposed to be quite spicy. But we're going to be following this girl who, she sounds like she's human, and there's something in the forest that she really, really needs, but no one's supposed to go into this magical forest. It's protected essentially by this dragon shifter, and the dragon shifter, it sounds like, is going to be the love interest. He needs her to essentially kind of save his own magical kingdom. It doesn't really kind of express why, but she's definitely very scared of him, and it sounds like he's going to be some sort of gruff character. So I'm kind of getting some Beauty and the Beast vibes, which I love Beauty and the Beast retellings. It's one of my literal, like, just favorite things in the world. But I'm hoping it's going to be a 4-star and above. But yeah, Ruin of Roses, K.F. Breene. All right, so the next one is A Land of Never and Night, which, speaking of retellings, this is supposed to be like a Peter Pan retelling. This is by Lily Archer. She is an indie author, and I think she did I think the cover's design is good. It's cute, it's pretty. But like I said, this is a Peter Pan retelling. Sounds like she's maybe like the granddaughter of Wendy, and that's how she heard about Peter Pan, which she never believed in, but then she ends up getting kidnapped by Peter Pan and being taken to Neverland. So she has to tell a bunch of stories night after night, and Peter says that he's going to protect her from Hook. But, and she starts to crave his touch. But other than that, it's not actually giving a ton away of plot for the synopsis. And one thing, this is gonna come off probably so bad, but I totally support indie authors. I think that's amazing. It is insanely hard to write a book, and I respect that massively. But one thing you have to be kind of wary about with indie authors is they weren't picked up by a traditional publisher, which doesn't mean anything necessarily because they may have never sent it to a traditional publisher. But one of the benefits that you have when you have a traditional publisher is it's rigorously edited, which means like they're making sure that your story structure is really on point and it's going to engage the reader. They also picked up the book because they believe that they are going to be able to sell it. It's a story that can sell. So I'm a little bit nervous looking at the synopsis now. I can't actually tell the plot, so I'm a little bit nervous. But it's not a very big book, so I don't know. I don't know now. The next one, all of these are indie authors. This is called Blood Crown. It's by 2 authors, Elizabeth Brown and Torri Heat. And it says, in a world ruled by men, only women will reign. So that definitely has a very intriguing sentence there to kind of hook you in. The cover is very pretty. I like these sort of like matte black covers with a simple image. It kind of has that dark whimsy to it. So the synopsis for this one, it sounds like essentially the queen that we have here, she's the only queen. She's a succubus. She basically took her crown amongst all these men ruling, and she's a succubus and she took her crown. And essentially a resistance in her own kingdom is building because she is a female ruling, and it sounds like people don't like that. And she also abolished slavery within her own land, which sounds like that was a very big part of her land. So people are rising and want to overthrow her. So in order to kind of work against this resistance, she realizes she can't do it by herself, and she's trying to essentially get the kings from her neighboring kingdoms to get on her side and help her overthrow this resistance. So it sounds like there's going to be definitely multiple love interests here. It says that she's faced with an unruly and violent vampire prince, an over-the-top dramatic fae prince, an angelic king, and a demonic assassin. They're all alpha males in their own right, each one thinking they know what's best for their queen. So definitely interesting. I'm a little bit nervous when she said alpha males. I like alpha males, but I've been burned by some books, so like it's triggering me, man. It's triggering me. But this sounds like it could be really good. This one definitely has more plot in the synopsis that I can already tell, I can already derive from over the Peter Pan book. So I think my premonition is this one's going to be better than Peter Pan. So probably a 3-star and above. Peter Pan might be a 2-star. I don't know. I hate saying that. I haven't even read it yet, and I'm already like, why did I buy it then? I don't know. Well, that one was a gift. But anyways. So, moving on. Let me carry on. Next one. I'm actually in the middle of reading right now. That is Phantom, which let me move my bookmark. That is Phantom, which this is another very pretty cover. This is by Greer Rivers. I saw this immediately on Instagram and bought it. Like literally, I don't even think a minute had passed. I've always loved Phantom of the Opera, and I always wanted Phantom to get Christine. So come on, man. This is a little bit different for me in the sense that this turns out to be a mafia sort of book. It's a retelling of Phantom of the Opera. It has a mafia vibe. Well, it is definitely mafia. It's contemporary, which is also not me, but from what I've read so far, I haven't read too much, it's good. There's definitely some problems that I can see. I do think this is her first book, and let me just say this right now. I've never written a book. Okay, I've written, but I've never published. I've never written a book, so I'm talking out of my ass. I recognize that. But as a reader, there's some problems that I've seen that I can tell later on. I was able to understand stuff, but it should have been explained in the beginning. Otherwise, it messes up your view of a character. So that's why I'm saying this. But it's a really interesting interpretation of how she kind of recreated the story, at least so far. So I've really enjoyed it. It's basically taking place in New Orleans, and they have a new opera house. And there's Scarlett Day. She's essentially our Christine, and she is a singer at the opera house. And then, oh God, why can't I remember his name? It's because I'm being put on the spot. But our Phantom, he essentially is a part of the mafia, and when he was younger, he was essentially tortured by a rivaling gang. So he's messed up, and he essentially lives underneath the opera house because his family owns the opera house, and he just doesn't really like being outside or being around people, so he wears a mask and things like that. So it's an interesting take for sure. So far, I've enjoyed it. I'm thinking it's going to be a 3.5 star. That's what I'm thinking. That's my premonition. Anyways. Alright guys, so I just kind of wanted to pause right here for a sec before you see me go into my bitch fest. But all I want to say is that I have a massive respect for any author that publishes their own work, that is artwork. And I just want to say that before you see what I'm about to say, because I recognize that you don't know who I am yet. And I do feel like I'm going to be like a Simon Cowell of freaking reviewers. but a lot of my frustration is really coming from the fact that you're seeing things on like Book Talk and Bookstagram of people recommending or rating a book super high, and it's really actually just because they have like an affiliate link associated to it, so they just get their own coin for it, and the book ends up being really fucking terrible. So that's where the anger's coming from. It's really not meant to be directed at the author. I realize I'm talking out my ass because I've never published a book, but I'm just gonna preface it with that, so keep that in mind. The next one, this is a really, really good title. It's an amazing title, and I'm not gonna lie, I literally bought it because of the title. But I already started reading it. I'm not very far in. I already DNF'd this. I yeeted this thing across the room. It's terrible. And I feel bad for saying that. I don't know actually if I feel bad. A lot of hard work went into this, and I recognize that. It's not good though. Like there's some problems. I'm probably gonna do a video on this book, which would mean I have to finish it though, and that's just not enticing. Oh, that's so mean. Oh my god, Maggie, that's mean. Okay, anyways, let me just get to it. This is A Ballad of Nightmares, which like I said, I totally bought the book for my name. But this is by Jack Whitney. It says it's the Nightmares duology. I don't think the second book has come out yet. I'm not entirely sure. This is another indie book. Unfortunately, you can tell based off of the cover, there's a lot of sort of like blurriness around the imagery, and then the back where the synopsis is really pixelated for the lettering, which is kind of a bummer. But the synopsis of this book is, I'm not entirely sure if he's supposed to be the devil or death, or if it's kind of the same thing. Essentially, it sounds like they're in hell, there's multiple kingdoms. Sounds like it might be based off of the 7 deadly sins as far as the kingdoms. And there's this succubus who's coming, and she's kind of overthrowing each of the kingdoms. Death is there, and he knows that she's gonna overthrow him. She's overthrown all of the other ones, but he's gonna make her beg for it first. So this is a smut novel. This is a smutty book. No, I don't think it was well done, and I feel terrible for saying that, but... Okay, so carrying on, I feel so bad. I was so mean on the last book. I feel so bad. I can't lie though, like yeah, but okay, let's move on. Next book. This is River of Shadows by Karina Halle, which this is another really pretty cover. I'm very excited about this one. This is actually one of the few ones where it doesn't have the black cover actually. All the other ones, it's very consistently the same. They're all kind of using the same sort of setup for their book covers. But this one, I bought this one so quick. I saw, it came up on my Amazon For You page or something, and I literally saw a review of someone said it's like the Labyrinth meets Finnish mythology, and it has to do with the gods of the underworld. Yes! I have an obsession with Hades, which I have not found a good Hades and Persephone book. So I'm hoping this is going to be a really good underworld god book. I don't know much about Finnish mythology, but I'm really hoping this is a really cool, like, god of death book. So speaking of that, the synopsis of this is, it sounds like it's contemporary, and this woman who's in, it sounds like Los Angeles, is going back to Finland because she found out that her father died, so she thinks she's going to her funeral, or his funeral. But she later on finds out that her dad was actually a really powerful shaman, and what he actually did was he essentially went into hell, or the underworld. And she's gonna go in there to essentially bargain to get her dad out, I believe it is. She's gonna be working with the god of death here. I'm very excited about this. And it's a literal god. I don't want, like, when it's the god of death, but they're like, oh no, but he's human. I want a god, man. Give me a god. And it sounds like this is it. So I'm very excited. I'm very, 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 very excited. I feel like this could be a definite 4 stars and above. I'm so excited that I actually bought the second book, which is called The Crown of Crimson, which is another very beautiful, beautiful cover. I love red. I absolutely love red. So this is the second book to this, so this is going to be following the same girl. So with this one, I don't want to go into too much because this gives away a little bit of this. But so in this one, she's going into hell because she wants to get her father out. She's going to kind of make a bargain with death to save her father's life. This one is going to talk a little bit more about her romance with death, and all I'm going to say here is that it sounds like she betrays him in some way and it pisses him off, and so he goes after her. All right, so that's all I'm going to say. These sound really good. I'm very excited, if you can't tell. Very excited. All right, let's carry on. This book I bought because, I'm not going to lie, I thought the cover was pretty again, and it had an axe on it. I don't know what about the axe really sold me, but it did. And this is A Curse of Shadows and Thorns, which it's a pretty cover. It's gorgeous. Another matte black base, like I said. It's by L.J. Andrews, another indie author. It says, a bargain between enemies, a curse without an end. A love that will bring a kingdom to its knees. This is following a princess, and I believe she's a human princess. And because of her status, her duty obviously is to get married and set up some sort of like negotiations and alliance with another kingdom, things of that nature. It sounds like her people stole the crown from the fairy king. So I'm guessing the Fae are not in power anymore, but they're somehow going to be in play. And there's this man, his name's Legion Grey. He's essentially the one setting up her dowry sort of negotiations with the other kingdom. But a coup ends up coming to fruition, and she ends up running off with Legion, and she's deemed as a traitor. And as her and Legion run off, it sounds like he's essentially cursed in some form or manner, and that's going to affect her. He's going to be some sort of beastly thing. Maybe this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling. That'd be cool too. But that's what I'm kind of gathering out of this. This does sound like it has some good plot. So yeah, I'm excited about this one. I'm going to give this one, I think it might be a 4 stars and above. I am excited about this one. So the 13th book here, this is called Kingdom of Villains by Ella Fields. Another gorgeous cover, not quite a matte black background. Those are scales for sure. But it says, fate is a bloodthirsty beast. This one I think has the potential to be really good. I feel like this is a predicted 4 stars and above. I'm hoping it's a 4 star. So this one, it might be another Beauty and the Beast retelling. I can't entirely tell, but essentially what's going on is it sounds like there was this man who was locked up in her family's dungeon, and it sounds like he's a beast of some sort, and she let him out. He essentially kind of fooled her. It sounds like she made some sort of relationship with him, like she started to trust him, so she let him out, or let him out, and that sort of backfired because he's very dangerous to her people, and her parents are really, really upset. But he really respects the fact that she did let him out. So he essentially asks for her hand in marriage, and he won't leave unless they essentially marry their daughter off to him. So he's kind of saving her in a way, but it sounds like she's terrified of him at the same time because he's like the most dangerous thing to her people in the last 100 years, it says. So it sounds like it could definitely be interesting here. I feel like I'm not selling it. I feel like I'm maybe not selling most of these books, but this sounds like it could be a good one. All right, guys, that's it. That's all I got for you this week. My 13 books, which now means actually that I have at least one of these that I need to read every month on my TBR. Let me know which ones you're most excited about. Maybe even let me know like which ones you guys think I should read first. Like I said, I already DNF'd Ballad of Nightmares. We're going to have a talk about that book in the future. But yeah, anyways, I will see you guys next week. You have a great day.